Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. We are super excited to have you with us for the launch announcement and webinar for the SBLI e-ticket. And we're excited to show you this new best of breed digital submission tool for our partner, SBLI. And as always, our webinars are meant to be educational and informative. We hope we can help your business in a variety of ways. If you haven't already been there, we do have a library of webinar content on our YouTube channel. We will post a link to that channel here in the chat for this webinar. And you can also find it at the bottom of a link to it at the bottom of our website at www.ixn.tech. So as we go along, please feel free to post any questions in the chat. We'll probably have time to get to some of those as we go through our presentation. And we'll also reserve time at the end to answer any questions that have come in. We'll plan to keep our content to 45 minutes, but we'll stay as long as anyone still has questions. But at the end of those 45 minutes, we'll let you get back to doing what you do best, selling life insurance. By way of introduction, my name's Kevin Koger. I'm the Vice President of Sales here at IXN. I'm joined by Kevin Palmer, our CEO, our Chief Revenue Officer, Lassa Young, and also our good friend and business partner, Denis Clifford, Senior Vice President and Chief Distribution Officer at SBLI. Kevin Palmer's going to kick us off and introduce our topic today. So with that, Kevin, the time's yours.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining this webinar. First and foremost, many of you know IXN, and we've been around for a few years with the goal of making the process of selling life insurance easier. We came out with our innovative and award-winning mobile application, have built out cross-functional tools on the web as well. And I'm just super excited to finally launch this digital e-submission with SBLI. They were one of the first carriers with a true accelerated product in the marketplace, and combined with our distribution reach, as well as some of our really neat technological tools, I think this is going to be one of the best and most streamlined solutions out there in the marketplace. So, really excited for the SBLI and the IXN team to show you what we've developed together in partnership, and how easy it will be to now submit business directly from your phone, from your web, from your iPad, wherever you are, being able to do a needs analysis, a quick quote, and an e-submission, all in one user experience on one single platform is truly amazing. So, I'm going to pass this over to Denis. As we've talked internally for a long time to get to this solution to the market, and just excited to show the world what we've developed.
Awesome. Well, Denis, thanks for joining us. Do you want to tell us a little about yourself and why we're doing this call today?
Well, as Kevin mentioned, I'm Denis Clifford, and I run head of distribution at SBLI. And also, as he said, we've been having a conversation early days, I think, before we ever decided to partner, sort of philosophically on the approach that you guys are taking. And I've always been a big fan of the longer view that you guys have had, and the strategy on the tools that you're delivering and how they can be accessed. And for me, that was one of the intriguing elements early on, as it related to what I perceived, and what I think agents and GAs will perceive as just frictionless access. There are tools out in the marketplace. We all use them. They're well known, and I would say that they're sort of two-dimensional in that they do one thing well, but they don't necessarily do all things well. And that was for me at least, especially when I consider the SBLI demographic and strategically how we're looking at ease of process and access. To me, there was a definite synergy between the way that you guys were thinking and the way that we were thinking. And our accelerated underwriting is indicative of that. Where can we reduce friction in the application process, and especially your mobile solution to me was one of those, that was missing. And what we know is that agents, they work in a natural market, and so we kind of point to a younger demographic maybe than some of the other carriers that are out there, and because of that, the natural market, the agents who are sort of working that block or that segment of the business are younger also, and there's definitely there's more of a familiarity and an acceptance of mobile type tools. And so for me, it was a natural fit to get on the mobile platform, and you guys have seen that. I think you've seen that with a lot of the GAs that you have on there, and the way that they're accessing it. So that the mobile, the philosophy, and even the broader view to consolidated API supported access and consistency, and then along with the analytics piece that you guys are building in, that all to me is it's a great sort of enterprise value proposition.
No, thanks, Dennis. We're super excited. We think it's going to be a huge lift for all of our partner GAs that are selling life insurance out, just making the process. I love that you're utilizing the term frictionless, because it's one of the terms we use internally as well. So no, that's fantastic. So Lasse, without further ado, do you want to jump in and show them what we've created a little?
Sure. Yeah, I could jump into that. So let's pop into the demo here. I'm going to share my screen. So yeah, this is kind of what you guys have all been waiting for. So I'm going to show you guys a couple things here. I'm going to bring this up. So what you see here on my screen, you see two different screens here. You see the, well, first of all, I'm getting my phone connected here. But you see two different screens here. On the left side, you're going to see my actual phone screen here that I'm bringing up right now. And then on the right side, you actually see my iPad. So this is my iPad here. So I want to show you guys that this platform is designed to be basically on any kind of device. It's cross-platform. So Dennis talked about mobile. That's definitely one of the main selling points of the IXM platform. One of the reasons a lot of people have.
Hey, Lasse.
Yes.
I'm not seeing. I'm just seeing the four of us.
Oops.
Are you guys seeing the screen?
I started sharing and then I never finished.
There you go.
You should see the screens now. Sorry about that, guys.
Got it.
It's okay. I was bringing up my phone screen anyway. So yeah, you see on the left side again, you see kind of my phone screen here. On the right side, you see my iPad here. That's what you guys should see now, right?
We see it.
Perfect. So essentially, the platform is designed to work on. I'm also going to show you guys here how it works on desktop. We have our desktop platform as well. So this new ticket, we're really excited about the process. If you've used any of the IXM products in the past, you know that one of the focuses that we think about, one of the focuses that we focus on is the user experience, making it easy, making it slick, being able to quote and apply, whether you're on the golf course, you're in the home of your client, you're at lunch, things like that, or your agents are. We try to make that user experience as seamless as possible. So I'm going to show you here on my iPad. Basically, but it works on whether you're in front of the computer as well. So what we've done is we partnered with SBLI. So this goes directly to SBLI. So in the IXM platform, if you're familiar with it, you probably have seen this before, but we've got lots of different tools. We've got needs analysis, quoting, and then the application tool. So let's say you're out and about, you're at a function, or apropos right now is you're at a Christmas dinner, and your brother-in-law says, "Hey, I've been thinking about buying life insurance," and he doesn't know how much it costs. So you bring out your iPad, your smartphone, In this case, I've got an iPad. You come in here, you can start with a needs analysis if you want. So there's a needs analysis calculator right here. You can come in, figure out a need, and then that'll populate right into the quote engine. At which point you put in their info, you select the products and the carriers that you want, and then you click Get Quotes. Takes you to the quote results. Boom, here we've got our different carriers. We select SBLI because we know that's going to be a great process. You can see some of the features in the quoting process here. One of the key features that we've been talking about is their accelerated underwriting, which is really great. And then we come down here. You can see at the bottom there's a Get Started button. So we click Get Started. You can then text the quote, email the quote, or do an e-ticket. So if I click on e-ticket, you'll see that the new process for this is really awesome. We start with some quick knockout questions. These are pre-qualification questions, basically. What's going to happen here is you can see they all default to no. If you select yes on any of these, then it's basically going to let you know, hey, some of the questions above were answered yes, therefore the applicant is not a good fit for the accelerated underwriting product here. But we come in here, we select, let's say we're good on all these questions, these knockouts. We go next. It's going to take us to the proposed insured information, at which point we'll put in some info here. And so if you've used the IXN process with any of our other carriers, you probably recognize this. This is really slick, really easy to use, and so let's see. And it's just slightly different. It's specific to SBLI. This is going to be the questions that they're going to need in their process, and I can go through and fill this out. So some of the questions here are going to be responsive. So if I put like home phone, you'll see that now suddenly home, if that's my preferred contact method, it makes the home phone required instead of cell phone, things like that. Some nice usability features to just make sure we're collecting the right information. So let's say we want to be contacted at 3:30 p.m. We're going to put in client's email. If they know their driver's license, we can put that in here. If they don't, if you don't put anything in here, oops. Well, that popped out of there really quick. If you don't have their info, then let me get back to where we were. Sorry about that. Somehow it jumped out. You can move right along. So must have pressed a weird button. It's all new tech, right?
That only happens when you're doing a webinar live.
Yeah, that only happens when I'm doing a webinar. I'm not sure why that popped out of there. Communication phone, cell phone number, best time to contact. So Dennis, while I'm doing this, do you want to tell us a little bit about your accelerated underwriting product and kind of what's one of the selling points of this for you guys? Oh, you're on mute, Dennis.
Thanks, Lasse. Yeah, so we've had this accelerated underwriting. It's a process, really. It's on our standard product, but it's because it's across all classes, all durations. It's carved out in a way that's consistently always accelerated underwriting. And the main feature of that, in contrast to our competitors, is that ages 18 to 60, all the way up to 750 of coverage, all durations, all classes, we have removed the paramed exam. And so there is no paramed exam. There's no knockouts. there's no opportunity for us to have a paramed exam. And so that business is supported exclusively with a telephone interview. And, you know, in the instance that we'd need an APS, we go and get that. But that's the difference, really, from our competitors, in as much as that there's no, as we call them, there's no U-turns. You can, as an agent, you can confidently say that this is guaranteed not to have a paramed, which, you know, there's other carriers, and they're fine carriers, but it's not, you know, it's not guaranteed. And so depending on who the carrier is, there's different degrees of throughput that manages to stay accelerated. And for us, that has been one of the, you know, the strongest attributes related to the program, in as much as that agents, especially, you know, they like the fact that it's a telephone call. Their clients like that it's a telephone call interview. It's, you know, nobody has to come to the house, and especially in this environment with COVID, you know, when we go back to, you know, the end of the first quarter, beginning of the second quarter, we saw a tremendous spike in business because of that, you know, that aspect of our process.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, and that's kind of, you know, while this is available for non-accelerated products as well, but that's really is, I think, one of the selling points of SBLI, and you know, especially on this easy to use process here in the platform. So going back to kind of what we're doing here, I had to kind of catch up. So thanks for getting us there, Dennis. You'll notice that this is step 2 of 6 up here at the top. If I then come down here and I, you know, say, hey, the applicant has an existing policy, it's going to add an extra page. If we want to add that in, we can also, you know, if we say no here, you can see there's some nice responsiveness to it. If a proposed insured is not the policy owner, we can come in here and talk about, we make them a trust, an individual, things like that. We go next, we said that they do have existing policies, so we can add an existing policy here. You can see there's only 2 items that are really required. That's the insurer name and the face amount. Everything else is not required. They might not know their surrender value or their contract value, premium amount, things like that offhand. So you can submit this with just those 2 items. And then you can select whether or not it's a replacement. It just asks you for the reason for the replacement type of thing. So we're going to put in here, let's say we're replacing ABC carrier, and the face amount was $250,000. Perfect. All right, so now we're going to go next screen. It's going to ask some supplemental questions. Does the proposed insured intend to apply for conditional coverage? If it's a yes, then we just move on. Same with no. Some of these are going to have different options. So for example, were there any reprinted or electronically presented company approved sales materials during the sales process? It's a yes, you got a list of materials. It's a no, you move on. I definitely recommend kind of walking through it, getting familiar with what the questions are here, because it's going to be a little bit different than other carriers. Each carrier is going to have their own unique kind of set of questions, things like that. Again, some yes or no questions. Make sure you're familiar with these. We're going to keep going through here. Answer yes or no. And those, you can see, those are very important, that you have to answer yes or no. In the first section, they're kind of default to no, but that's why there's a drop down. It's a little bit of a different user experience on this screen versus that initial screen. There's some importance to that. Oh, by the way, and if at any point during the quoting process, you can see there's this little, or during the ticket process, you want to go back and revisit what the quote was, you can click on the quote button down here. That way you don't have to jump out of the ticket process in the middle here. Go next. Great. This screen's pretty easy. Just one option, one question. You're going to select just the monthly payment mode that they want. We're not gathering any payment information here in the app. We go next. Producer. We do need an agent code. This is interesting. I'm sure this is going to come. There's going to be some questions around this, and one of the questions I think that's going to come up is, can we submit this if the agent isn't contracted yet? And the answer here is yes. So if they're not contracted, you can put in just like a generic number, like 55555, and then when it gets to SBLI, they'll reach out to the agency, because this does get associated with your agency ID. They'll reach out and make sure that the agent contracted, or we get that agent code. So that's something that's come up a lot in the past. So I just want to make that clear. You can add an additional agent here as well, where you can do like a commission split on those types of things. So again, we're just going to put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Go next. And this is the last step. You see, it's pretty simple. We've taken us some time to get through it because I'm kind of talking through it as I go, but 3 yes or no questions on the producer attestation. And if we click yes, there might be some extra questions. So for example, the first one, I understand that there's other important information that I'm required to read in the applicant covering a potential replacement of his or her policy. Was the important information noticed either read to the applicant or the reading of the important information waived by the applicant? If I click no, so we basically have to select yes on all these, otherwise we can't move on. And then we have to accept the agent attestation. So perfect. We've now, these are for the agent to know, not to ask the consumer necessarily, but then we click submit. And voila, we're done. We've now submitted this application. It goes right into the call center for SBLI, and they take it from there. So that's the process from my iPad as I was doing it here. This is that wasn't a video. That was I was running through it. Obviously, it's always fun with technical difficulties as you go. So the same thing can also be done from our web platform. Many of you are familiar with this platform. This is our agency life quarter. This is designed to be embedded right into your agency website, into your CRM or your AMS. It's a really integrated solution into your platform, and so there's a lot of different features here. We're not going to go through those today, but ultimately when you click get started and you click on e-ticket, you'll see it's the exact same user experience on web. And I can go through here, answer the questions. It's a little bit quicker on web just because I've got a normal keyboard here, and I won't go through the whole thing, but it's a really easy, quick process, and it goes through the exact. Oh, I forgot a couple questions here.
Yeah, and as everyone can see, I think Dennis pointed this out brilliantly in the beginning, but it's a frictionless user experience. Our goal when we started building out a lot of these solutions for our agents and BGAs was, can we find a way to submit business from whatever digital tool, whether that's the phone or their web, within 5 minutes? And that means needs analysis, quote, and e-submission all within 5 minutes. And Lassa did it probably in a minute just now. But at the end of the day, there's no jumping from one platform to another, which is the common way that business is processed today. You're going from one system to another. It's a very band-aided approach to selling, and it's just not a great user experience for the agent, and an even worse experience for the consumer. Having everything in a single digital solution, end to end from start to finish, and away you go with the rocket ship, is really what we consider best of breed, and we're super excited to bring this solution to the marketplace.
And this is live now. So if you're a current customer of IXN and you want to get this added, there's no extra cost to you to get it added. If you're already using the IXN platform, it's available on our mobile app platform. It's also available on the agency life quarter, which is what you see here. So it's ready to go. And it's one last piece I want to show you is here in the dashboard. You can come in here and you can also, you'll see that now SBLI is its own provider here in the dashboard. So when that ticket is sent, you can come in here, you can see all the information from an admin perspective. That way nothing's falling through the cracks, things like that. And that's all available here in the dashboard as well. We try to make it easily accessible and things like that. So yeah, I'd like to kind of hear a little bit from Dennis on what your process, once this gets sent over, to, like, once this is completed, we get to this page and great, it's on the way. What happens at Protect, or not, sorry, what happens at SBLI? What makes you guys unique as far as kind of how you handle the process after it gets submitted? Because we've talked about, okay, now we've got this great experience for submitting it. Tell us a little bit about your guys' back end process and what they can expect there.
Yeah, so you know, there are certain elements of the process that are similar to many other carriers. In this particular case, after you've submitted it, it's on its way. It's heading over to APS, apps, our fulfillment vendor, and they're going to put that into a routine. They're going to call your customer. They call them twice the first day, and varying degrees of success of getting in touch with folks the first day. But after the first 1 or 2 days, usually they've made contact, and then ultimately they'll schedule a telephone interview. It takes about somewhere between, at younger ages, there's less information. So at younger ages, maybe 25 minutes and it's done. Older ages, maybe it's 30 or a little bit more, depending on how prepared they are. That comes to us and it goes into our underwriting queue. And for about, I think the number is around 15%, especially at younger ages and lower face amounts, that will probably go through our automated underwriting engine, and an offer will be made on the next batch processing, and we batch process twice a day. So within 24 hours, 15 to 20% will likely get an offer. But then and then it goes through the sort of the general processing. I will say though that because we're not looking at labs, we have about 60, just under 60% of our applications going in and out in 6 days or less. And so, it's still fully underwritten. So this isn't a simplified issue product, is still fully underwritten. And so, as we all know, there can be inconsistencies in what we get in a telephone interview and what we get in a script check, for example. And we do a script check, an MVR, and an MIB, and we do use some LexisNexis data, not for scoring, not for decision making, but maybe to provide some additional color that is beneficial. But we definitely don't issue a class based on any of that type of information. So underwriter reviews it, and then we go ahead and process it. So there will always be outliers. There's nothing you can do about that. You need to get an APS, and we all know that special auths are the bane of our existence. And so for some of those, that puts a drag on some of those applications, but typically they're at older ages. And what we find is that, especially with AU, and especially in this environment where it's really, our strategy is that these are tools that fit within the natural market of the younger agent. I think they're great tools at any age, but I think there's just a greater affinity at younger ages to use mobile type platforms and to self-administer. They're not calling in somewhere necessarily, asking a wholesaler to run a quote and to submit an app. So it goes through the traditional underwriting, and then, as I said, we issue. We'll make a decision, and we issue twice a day. We also have an upsell program on the back end of this for agents. So if somebody comes in and they get 500,000, we will make an offer to as long as they qualify, and most do, up to 750 at the time of. We'll make the offer at the time of decision, and then we'll go ahead and issue it with the increased amount. So that's a win for agents, in as much as the work's been done. We know that they came in at 500,000, but we're going to show you what the rates would be for 750, and we have, I think we're somewhere between 20 and 25% uptake on our upsell program.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So yeah, so it's an added value for consumers. They've done the work, they can get a little bit more coverage, and then obviously for our GA partners and their downline agents, there's a little bit more commission in there for them also.
No, that's fantastic. And just one of the things, this accelerated underwriting product it's evolving. And, you guys came into it, one of the first carriers into that market. I know you've been increasing your face amount limits over the last 2 years. What do you see in the future? Is it get more streamlined with more data? Are we able to do this for, endless face amounts to a degree? What do you see on the horizon, Dennis?
Yeah, I think as it relates to the submission and the collection of the data, I think you're seeing advances manifest, and we all know there's a lot of funding of new ways to sort of peel this orange, as it were, in the insured tech space. So I do think that we've seen a lot of the advances. This is another one of the submission and the collection of the information and the submission. From our side, there will be a movement towards more streamlined underwriting. We're starting to see, and we are doing some ourselves with what would traditionally have been called simplified issue products, but they're not really simplified issue anymore. They're far more robust, far more reflexive. They're an in-session type of sale. They're still more expensive because you're not getting the underwriting clarity that you would through a traditional process. But that gap is getting smaller and smaller, where you have a sort of a simplified experience and a fully underwritten price point. But a few years ago they were out here, but they're starting to come in. And I think it may be that new products emerge and they're more of a hybrid product. You got to remember that from a carrier perspective, you can't get, you don't want to have anti-selection. So you want to make sure that you're balanced in the way that you do your risk assessment. I would say that we're going to see more technology. I would say reinsurers have really sort of accelerated their familiarity and their comfort with new methodologies around data and how you can use that. Again, we've participated with some partners of ours to move that along. And I think, this is one of the benefits of COVID. Everybody knew that this was on the horizon, right? And we all had different technology projects on the roadmap. What COVID did was it accelerated all of that by maybe, 2, 3, 4 years. And so now we're sort of, we've got to where we had planned to be. And so it's like, okay, well, now we've done that, what's next? And so, I would say the next few years, we should start to see more technology, more data-driven outcomes. And the data is not just about pulling medical data, even though EHRs would be a really great sort of evolution if we had access to enough to make the process easier. But I think you will see there's a regulatory hurdle you have to get through, but activity and behavioral data, I think at some point will have to be we'll get some degree of acceptance and adoption. Although for right now, especially New York, there's definite pushback into use that into price setting. So, but we'll see. But yeah, for sure, it's technology driven, and it's all about ease of access and speed to decision.
No, and that's what we're seeing from a technology standpoint. We're building a frameworks to make that happen quicker, faster, smoother. So it's great to hear that carriers are on that journey as well to make the process quicker, faster, smoother. So I know we only have another 10 or 15 minutes, as we promised we were going to try to be done in 45 minutes. There's a number of questions that have come in, Lassa. If we want to just talk a little bit, potentially show some of the solutions as well, because in some instances, in a nice note, somebody wants to actually contract with SBLI after seeing the process, which is always good. But one of the things is, can they see underwriting guidelines? And underwriting guidelines are available on the web solution. I know we tried to go really quick through that to really focus on the e-ticket and the e-submission. But all of those, traditional forms and underwriting guides are available as you go through. Lass is pulling it back up real quickly. So as you can see right here, as he pulls down forms and clicks on underwriting guides, they're easily accessible, again, in one place, frictionless, pulls right up. You're not jumping into another platform in order to find that. It's right there as you go to the SBLI carrier. So, great question. Thank you, Jeff. There's a few other questions in the queue. Dan, assuming all is clean and client responsive, what is the expected time from submission? I think Dennis explained that this will happen as it goes through the accelerated process. As long as there's no additional knockout, you'll be able to get that in. I think Dennis, you mentioned that you are doing that. You're running that queue twice a day, correct?
Yeah, we issue twice a day. Yeah,
so pretty streamlined process. But Dennis, if you want to go into details about specific, the day lags and etc., I think that would be helpful to everyone on the call.
Well, all I would say is that we're speaking in generalities, and I want to just pull up where we are right now. This is something that we watch every day, right? So we're following our processing times, as I say, every day. And bear with me. Right. So our average speed of processing for an AU case with no APSs is actually 8 days. Right. So if we don't need an APS, from when we get it, and obviously the telephone interview has to happen, but when we get it, the average is 8 days. As I said earlier, we're running somewhere north of 50% in 6 days or less. 6 days is the time segment that we use. Many of those are out in 2 or 3 days, but 6 days or less for 50% or over 50%. And then, on the other side, we usually run around, if we need an APS, maybe 17 days, maybe 20, 22 on the long side. But again, that's generally driven by, a multiple APS situation where we get one, and you guys all know this, but we have to go and get another one. And that sort of just puts some drag on the process. But 8 days is pretty good, an average turnaround for fully underwritten process, no exam. So we like that. We think you will too.
Agreed. I know Melanie Weaver asked, will the agent find out the actual rating before the client pays, Dennis? So talk a little bit about the, I guess, the status and how the communication flow goes back to the agent.
Yeah, well, we're going to, so based on the agency, so this is a tool, right? But obviously an agency contracts with us, and in that agency contract, one of the things, and I see a bunch of folks on the call today that would know this, but we have a communication tree, basically, advanced communications, by where you decide what information you want to get and how you get it. And so, yes, we can tell the agent, what's going on ahead of the policy being issued, what the rate is going to be, and we can do that by email. But having said that, we also have an agent site, which we haven't talked about today, and we don't really need to, because you're getting a feed from that agent site, and so all of the same case detail is in there. So you can sort of monitor your business right here on this platform without ever coming and again jumping to another system and putting in and logging in to get your case detail, when at least for anything that is sent in through the IXN platform, you can get it right here.
Yeah, and Gail Moya asked about do you have helpful hints for prepping clients for the interview? And I would also ask, Dennis, do you want the agents prepping clients before the interview?
We out on our website, and I don't know, guys, maybe it's something that we should give to you, but we have a SBLI brokerage.com. It's a landing page basically with all of our sort of collateral out there, and it talks about the company, the products that we issue, but it also has some of this information out there, and we definitely do have a sort of who's a good candidate, right? And so who's a good fit, and it's broader, and it's so it's not that you're prepping them for the interview, because at the end of the day, we're still going to ask the questions, still going to do a script check and whatever. It's really about, are they a good fit for the client? So one of the things that we didn't talk about, I think, is that if a client is over 50 and they say they don't have a doctor, then that is likely not going to make it through, because who over 50 doesn't have a doctor? And generally speaking, we would see that as being maybe a little bit dubious, right? And so you don't want to give the information. So that's not a good fit, for example. And we do, and we're happy to circulate it to everybody on the call after this when we conclude the webinar. But so yes, we do. We have a lot of, I would say, supporting information that make that can help you determine if a client's a good fit for this process.
No, perfect. Another Gail also wanted to know, can these interviews be done in Spanish, Dennis?
They can. Yes, they can.
Perfect. And Walter, I know you're asked, what URL do we go on to? You can learn more about this going to ixn.tech. This solution is embedded in all of the digital tools that IXN provides. So if you want to learn more about that, just go to that. You can speak to Lassa, Kevin, or any of our client associates, and we'd be happy to walking you through that process of having this added on.
Yeah, so I put up on the screen here, if you're a current customer of IXN, log into your dashboard, live chat with our support team, email support@ixntech.com, call our 1-800 number. Those are all ways you just get in contact with our support. We can get this added for you. Like I said, there's no extra cost. Also on our support page, there's a link that you can find. That I'm supposed to be able to get that, but basically, if you go to support.ixn.tech or .ixntech.com, I'm sorry, I'll share that link here in the chat with everybody. What you can do is just search SBLI up here at the top, and the first one will be getting started with SBLI. So that there's a little guide that shows you kind of what are some of the things that you're going to need. So I would recommend you go here and look at these requirements before you talk to our support team, because you'll need an agent code and some different things, or agency code type of thing. And again, I'll share this link here in the chat to everybody. So for those of you who are current customers, that's your kind of route for getting started. Go check out that link and then talk to our support team. If you're new to IXN, you're not currently using either the agency life quoter or the mobile app, and you want to talk about maybe getting that added, that's how you would utilize this platform. Feel free to reach out to myself. I put my contact information there at the bottom. I'm happy to get you set up.
So I think we're coming right up to that 45-minute mark that we all promised to get you in and out of this webinar. I know there was questions about whether the webinar would be recorded. It is being recorded. It will be on our YouTube channel for you to view. So feel free to check it out there. You'll be hearing more about this SBLI IXN e-ticket. We do plan to have a few more webinars for those that couldn't make it during this holiday season in the upcoming weeks and the new year. So if people on your within your GA could not make it, or agents could not make it today, please let them know that they'll be able to see this in the future as well, and can ask questions right on the fly. But first and foremost, Dennis, thanks for participating. We're really excited to partner with SBLI, just a fantastic carrier with a fantastic product marketplace. So really excited for what 2021 is going to bring to our two organizations, and to all of the agents and others in the life insurance ecosystem that joined today. Thank you for spending some time with us, as we're looking forward to talking to you about how we can make the entire process easier for you as well.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.